Views expressed in the videos are my observation, analysis of events, persons based on principles of astrology. It's not my intent to predict, forecast absolute outcomes, only suggest how they may unfold. Nothing is set in stone. I could be wrong, but often I'm right. My desire is not to promote fear, only inform about what we see unfolding. It is our wish to prepare our subscribers for events that could affect them, their family, their goals, and their future, to help to prepare for what you may already suspect is happening, and to send a warning shot across the bow and raise a flag of concern. Our goal is to help, not hinder, in these perilous times, to inspire and offer possible direction, and to reveal that a greater plan and purpose are behind all that is happening. Eventually, we will see a brighter day. If you would like to show your appreciation for our work on these videos or this channel, and also the Knowing Whispers channel, you can always click on the word thanks at the bottom of all the videos. Hello everybody, it's Robert Cosmar of the Astrology of Life YouTube channel and the 3 Substack newsletters, Knowing Whispers Messages from the Universe, Trump and America, and also Ask the Astrologer. Today I am doing my long-awaited video on Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And I must say that my research into the background of Elon Musk is something that is quite extraordinary. And I also have a comment that I'm going to make here before I do show you these particular images. Of all the charts that I have done from people that are fairly well known, wealthy, famous, and stuff like that, this is probably one of the most mysterious charts, whether it's the Western chart or the Vedic chart that I've ever done. Because he is supposedly the wealthiest man in the world, somewhere around $217 or $219 billion. Yet the chart that he has, with the information that I have gotten, does not reflect any of that whatsoever. And I have tried to look in several different ways into both the Western and Vedic chart for a sign of some kind of exaltation or a combination of planets that would indicate somebody's capability of amassing extraordinary wealth. And that was not the case. Now, this is his Western chart. The information that they have, and I believe it's a B rating, which doesn't make it perfect. A lot of times they'll get a rating of that because it's like at 8 o'clock, 7:30, 7:15. When you get a chart that's not exactly on the quarter hour, you usually assume that that's probably pretty accurate. When it is, you question how accurate it is. I don't know how much of a difference it would make in his charts to move it, off of that. But my feeling is it would have to be moved off a lot. The time would have to be probably off a lot to make things look a little bit more like the wealthiest man in the world. But here's what we know about Elon Musk. Okay, you'll notice over here all of these squares. All right, squares from Pluto, Uranus, okay, and Saturn to the sun and the moon, representing usually the mother and the father, okay, or authority and our feelings type of thing. His mother and father got divorced when he was 8 years old. He was often bullied in school. He was a very shy, introverted child, okay. He didn't care much for school. He only liked things that he was interested in. So he had a difficult, time in school because of that, and he was probably called names and things like that. And I believe at one point he was even hospitalized from an episode that he had with some kids. So he had one of those childhoods. If you were ever a child that had that type of experience as a child, you know the scars that can leave on you throughout your life. And it appears to be the case with him. His reputation amongst the people that work for him is not all that glorious. He's been known to, on the spur of the moment, fire complete, groups of people. He did this when he bought Twitter and changed it into X. He very quickly got rid of some of the top management and I believe he cleaned out a lot of the other levels of it as well. And I'll explain a little bit more about that when I show you his Vedic horoscope too, because there's a particular combination there in that particular chart that indicates some really extreme impulsive outbursts. He seems to be a type of person that if you disagree with him too vigorously, that he could go off into a raging response, of trying to put you in your place. So for a lot of people, he's not a particularly pleasant person to work for. And based upon his early childhood and the damage that he endured throughout his childhood, he's probably a difficult person to really, get to know. So moving forward here. All right. Now, this here is July the 24th. Okay. And this is his natal birth chart right here. And what I'm looking at here are the aspects that are going on, because there are some aspects here. He seems to be having some problems, particularly with Tesla. He's known as a union buster, so he spouts that he's a democratic, free speech type of guy. But when it comes to things like unions that are in companies that he owns in particular, that he does his best to bust them so he can control the whole process of what it is that he's trying to do. And it seems like this entire thing with him and Trump has to do with what's best for him and his company and their ambitions. Okay. He has become so big that in some ways he's become a threat to certain governments, because there is this fear of these oligarch type individuals that have more wealth than some nations, that they may have influence over the direction that humanity is going. And of course, the thing about people that are super wealthy is that there tends to be a very strong ego, and they tend to feel that their vision is right. And unless somebody puts a stop to it or thwarts it, they can have a tendency to take over the direction of things. It's one of the things that people are concerned about in regards to him, because there's no real certainty whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. Okay. And, good and bad is kind of ambiguous because of the fact that you don't have to be, quote, overtly evil looking like Donald Trump to be an individual who is only consumed with your self-interest and not caring about the interests of others. Okay, which is really the foundation of love and life and democracy. So he has several things in here that I'll point out while we're here that are going on. Pluto right now is retrograde. Okay, and I'm not sure at this point if it goes back to an exactness, but you'll notice here that it will go back, is really in orb, all right, to affecting the midheaven in his chart. All right, 7th house, okay, having to do with other people, business associates, anybody in that realm of associating with him. Problems in regards to what he wants to do, Aries on the midheaven here. And with Pluto, this is a situation where you're forced to make changes or not. And I feel, and you'll see this when I do the comparison between Donald Trump's chart and his, that he has the ability to control Donald Trump. He may already be controlling him. In fact, there is a lot of information going out about the fact that Donald Trump is not any longer in control of his vision, that others, okay, are putting some input into what they want to see happening, and possibly behind the scenes, maybe they're doing things for him, financially or otherwise. He may be making deals, to others that he will break, okay, once he gets into a position where he feels like he has power, if that were to occur. So this Pluto squaring here, the midheaven, is a big issue. When Uranus over here, all right, Uranus over here is going to conjunct Saturn and is going to oppose Neptune. This is the axis that involves personal relationships and friendships. Okay, this is an unexpected factor. All right, and as you'll see as I go forward in some of these charts, there is the possibility that Elon Musk could be getting himself into some problems as a result, maybe of his association with Donald Trump. Okay, it's very possible that some swindling may be going on there. If you followed the comments that supposedly he made about giving Trump $45 million every month until the election, now he's coming back and saying that's not what he meant. Okay, and of course, you know, you never quite know who is telling the truth in that situation, but it would say something about his relationships, okay, with the people that he has made friends with. Uranus opposing Jupiter here, all right, that's often an aspect of very impulsive behavior or overexcitability. Okay, you think that you've got a lucky break or something like that, and you decide that you're going to go ahead and go for it, and it ends up being a big mistake. Here's Uranus conjuncting Saturn. All right, here's Uranus opposing Neptune. All right, so this house axis here, the 11th and the 5th house, are going to be incremental in what we see happening to him of an unfavorable nature. Okay, now keep in mind here that Saturn rules his 7th house. So again, it affects his relationships. Now, for those of you that are not maybe advanced in your astrology, I'm going to give you a little key here. When you are looking at any problem in a chart, you not only want to look at what the planets and angles are that are involved, but you want to look at the houses, all right? Because in a horoscope, although it seems like it's an absolute mess of separated individual symbols, it actually works as a whole. So, the planet in the house, the ruler of the house, the aspects between planets, how close they are, all tell you the severity and the strength of the episode that's about to occur. Okay? And in the beginning, that can be very daunting because you're trying to think of these things separately. Like this planet aspects this planet, what happens? But this planet and this planet also houses. What's the aspects to the planet in those houses? And this is why often astrology assessments go wrong. It's because you may judge certain factors to be very strong when in fact mitigating factors can make it weaker. Okay, and that's why sometimes the things that you suspect would happen don't happen the way you think they will. And again, this is one of the daunting tasks of astrology. For those of you that are learning astrology, those of you that have been astrologers, you know this. Those of you that want to get into astrology, okay, I would say that you have to have a calling, all right, because you'll be intimidated by all the things I just mentioned and trying to assimilate it all. Okay, let's go forward a little bit here, too. This is more of what's happening here. I mentioned to you about Pluto squaring the midheaven. It is moving back towards that, which would indicate that he's probably heading for some difficulty in terms of his goals and ambitions working with other people. But he's trying, no doubt in some way, shape, or form, he's trying to play Trump's favor because if Trump happens to win, he knows that he can get a big, huge tax break on all of his businesses. All right? So, a lot to be thought about here. Okay, now, this is where I talked a little bit about the relationship between between Trump and Elon Musk. And it's very revealing. And one of the first things that I noticed here, and remember I had said in the very beginning of the video that when I look at his Vedic chart and his Western chart, like Donald Trump's, you can see the wealth in Donald Trump's horoscope. I find it particularly difficult in looking at his Western and his Vedic chart to see any wealth of any magnitude. Now, I will indicate a possibility, but that's not necessarily what it means. Okay, so keep that in mind. But what I'm talking about down here is the 4th house. This is Elon Musk's planets in Donald Trump's 4th house. In astrology, in a synastry chart, the relationship between two people, okay, the private relationship between two people, all right, is in the 4th house. their public relationship is in the 10th house. So Elon Musk's Saturn in Gemini up here in Donald Trump's 10th house, okay, is very supportive of Trump's particular goals and aims. All right. He may have advice to offer in that situation, or he may have keen insights. All right. But down here, we see the real nuts and bolts of why Elon Musk has contacted Donald Trump. Jupiter is in Scorpio. Scorpio rules the 8th house, the house of other people's money. You'll see here that Neptune, okay, is in the 4th house of their private relationship. It rules Donald Trump's 8th house, the house of other people's money. His Jupiter also trines Donald Trump's Venus, another aspect, okay, that indicates a factor of finances being involved in their relationship, what the purpose of it is, okay? Now, that is one dimension of why Elon Musk has contacted Donald Trump, okay, and why it favors Donald Trump to that degree. But when you take a look over here at the synastry chart, the inner chart here are Donald Trump's natal planets, and then the outer chart is the planets of Elon Musk. You see something that might not appear what you think it should appear like. And what I'm talking about here is you'll notice that Elon Musk Pluto squares Donald Trump's sun, his moon. Okay? Semi-squares Pluto. Neptune squares Mars. Uranus squares Mercury. Saturn squares Mars. And sesquiquadrate Jupiter. This tells me that Elon Musk definitely has the upper hand in dealing with Donald Trump, because he knows Trump is in need, because he senses that probably he can manipulate and benefit by his association with Donald Trump. Okay? He could very well be one of those keys in the background that are manipulating and guiding Donald Trump to do things their way, all right, because of their association. Now, the other thing here that gives me the impression that there is difficulty in terms of Donald Trump handling Elon Musk, when you're talking about somebody that may have a couple billion, and Elon Musk has 213 billion, and you want his money, okay, I think that Donald Trump would consider kissing his behind, okay? But look here, Mars, the Mars in Donald Trump's chart, his big boisterous Mars, Mercury semi-squaring Mars, Jupiter squaring Mars, Saturn squaring Mars, Uranus semi-squaring Mars, Neptune squaring Mars, okay? There's also over here a Neptune squaring Donald Trump's sun. There's some deception here, okay? There is some deception here. Part of it I think is coming from Trump, and I think part of it's also coming from Elon Musk. In other words, they're not revealing all their cards to one another, okay? And like I said, we may see in the long run, I've mentioned this before, and I would watch this about Elon Musk. Almost everybody that has come into association with Donald Trump has fallen under some kind of legal ramifications. Some have lost their careers, some have lost their jobs, okay? When I say that he is, in a way, an angel of death, I'm not kidding, okay? There is that factor karmically with him, that he is a forerunner of damage to be, okay? When you take a look here at Eris in the chart of Donald Trump, his Eris opposes the Uranus in Elon Musk's chart, okay? And of course, Eris means strife and discord, okay? Donald Trump's Uranus is one of the powerful planets in his chart, responsible for the chaos, okay? So strife and discord through chaos, okay? You see this in the fact that the unfavorableness reaction to them being associated with one another would be an indication, you know, of that particular factor, all right? When you're talking about Donald Trump's ascendant, all right, again, you have almost the same factor as the position of Mars over here. you see that Donald Trump's ascendant is semi-squared Mercury by Musk, squared by Jupiter, squared by Saturn, squared by Neptune. Okay, uh, not a real favorable relationship when you get right down to it. I mean, it's one of those things where, okay, Trump may get some money here, but at what cost? Okay, and does this show a weakness growing in Donald Trump, that he's willing to barter one thing for another thing, favor for favor, the quid pro quo type thing? I think that we can, seriously question their relationship, and particularly what's the effect going to be with Elon Musk. No matter what it looks like, though, okay, until the final door is closed on this particular episode of American Life, Donald Trump is going to be the one that's going to hold the upper card. He will hold a trump card to just about everybody that he deals with. Okay, unless somebody else who is a bigger devil appears, to be on the horizon, and that's a possibility. Okay, going forward here. All right, now this is a little bit misleading to a degree. This is Elon Musk's business success and his good luck optimism going into the election. You'll notice here between now and between November, let's say November the 5th, which would be somewhere in here, it starts to wane at this period of time, all right, that he has this big, huge jump. Now, this could be that something is done or implied that favors him. What you're looking at here is a graph for a year, beginning on July the 16th to August the 12th, 2025. These are the accumulations of sextiles, trines, squares, oppositions, conjunctions of the planets, and also the progressions. So this gives the astrologer an idea of how prosperous a period could be, or how challenging and difficult. The further off of this line indicates, again, how strong are these factors. All right, the higher they go, what will be their ultimate physical appearance? Okay, so we see some fortune here in regards to Elon Musk. All right, and you have to keep in mind too that with Donald Trump, excuse me, this is a make it or break it effort for him. He either wins this election through hook or crook, by cheating, lying, deceiving, manipulating, behind the scenes, investigating, or essentially he's over. All right, and he knows that. And this whole situation now with Kamala Harris has made that very apparent to him. It's really going to be interesting to see whether he holds on to J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance is stepping into cow patties all over the place right now. And Trump may not want that kind of a burden going into the election, but we'll see. By the way, there are two critical periods in both Donald Trump's horoscope, beginning in August, and also with Kamala Harris right through the election. There are some critical factors that are going to be difficult for both candidates to deal with. How that will affect the election is anybody's guess. It could very well be that we won't know for months who wins the election, because the contention of over what has happened and some other distractions that have come up, may blur things so badly that it's not something that can be concretely forecast right away. All right. So keep that in mind. All right. Now, going forward here, this is Elon Musk's horoscope. Okay. And there are some factors in it that I can say they indicate the strengths of his persona, the strength of his stature, so to speak, in life. But when you take a look at this chart here to the left, this is the natal chart. You have Ketu in Cancer in the second house. This is the house of money. All right. Ketu is not normally beneficial in the house of money. It can indicate some real heavy-duty fluctuations. You can see that Saturn is over here in the 12th house, all right, as well as Venus. Oddly enough, both Donald Trump and Elon Musk have Saturn and Venus in the 12th house. This, again, when you take a look at Donald Trump's chart, okay, you know the immense significance of the losses. This is a house of loss, okay, as well as hospitalization, incarceration, things of that nature. And well, there are some benefits of Venus being in there in a sign that it rules, which can have an impact upon how effective Saturn is. Saturn also throws an aspect to this house right here. So it makes you scratch your head. How does this man, how does he get this wealth? Where's it coming from? Okay. Outside of Mercury being in Gemini, okay, there are no other, well, Taurus here, Venus and Taurus. There are only two planets that are actually in the houses that they rule, which in Vedic astrology strengthens the effect of the significations of the meaning of the houses that they're in. This is a very close, okay, aspect to his ascendant. Now, I will say this. Planets in a Vedic horoscope that are very close to the ascendant have a very marked effect on the person's life as a whole. It is one of those things that can denote fame, it can denote extraordinary ability, extraordinary qualities of fame, success, and things of that nature. But it also depends upon what aspects there are from other planets, the hard aspects like Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, and things of that nature, even Mars. Okay, he has the sun here in the first house as well. So there are some, indications here about, fame and prominence and things of that nature. But in the 8th house deals with transformations, other people's money, psychic experiences. Okay, Elon Musk is a believer, believe it or not, in astrology. To what extent, I don't know, but this would indicate Rahu here, the North Node, and Mars being conjunct, could indicate a fascination with occult type of learnings and things of that nature. But this aspect right here, Mars is about 1 degree off of being its exalted position in Capricorn, a very fortunate position in the house of other people's money. However, Mars conjuncting Rahu is not known necessarily for creating massive wealth. Now, this may be something that's not been talked about. I find it hard to believe it hasn't been discovered. But this is the point in his horoscope that may indicate that he is a quick temper and he is maybe a know-it-all. I mean, it's obvious that he's a genius. It's obvious that his karma and fate is that wealth is to be, at least for now, okay, a part of his future. His main goals essentially are to build rockets to go to Mars and save humanity. He, of course, has his electric cars, which are having some problems. He's having problems, obviously, with other people that are against his way of dealing things. He visualizes himself as being some kind of a Superman, and other people think he's kind of a Lex Luthor or the Superman movies. That type of thing, the evil type genius. And there doesn't seem to be anybody in particular that is coming out and saying, no, this is exactly, who he is. Now, over here, we're talking about, okay, the transits, July the 24th is when I did this, all right? This is the dasa, the Vimsatori dasa, okay, the comparable relationship to the progressed aspects in a Western chart. When you take a look at these two planets, the dasa and the mahadasa, I believe that's what it's called, you have to go back to the natal chart and look at the strength of those two individual planets. Are they favorable or unfavorable? Are they in good houses, bad houses? Are they aspected poorly? That'll tell you over here in these subdivisions which periods are better than others. Okay, sometimes you can have a Jupiter type dasa and then you have a Saturn type dasa, and because of the nature of the two planets in the natal chart, it may not be what you expect it to be. It could be a very difficult transit, or dasa, I mean. So, as usual with Western and Vedic astrology. Very complex, very evolved, and it is something that my experience has been is that if you have a passionate calling for astrology, it's something that you'll endure until you get to the point where you're able to see. And I often talk about this when I talk about the way I do videos and stuff. Okay, I am not an extremely technical astrologer. I do have knowledge of a lot of systems of astrology. I do have a lot of insight. Okay, but a lot of times I rely on my intuition more than the actual grinding it out by trying to analyze everything. And I do that for this particular reason when you're talking about videos on YouTube. If I did that, I'd only be talking to people that are seriously interested in learning astrology. I'm not interested in teaching astrology. I'll offer advice, I'll offer perspective to anybody who has a question. But my work is essentially to keep you apprised of what potentially could be going on and what potentially could occur. Okay? And to do that, you have to keep that in a relatively short and simple period of time. All right? And it can increase your likelihood of being wrong. All right? But that's kind of the gamble that you take. You have to kind of cater to your clientele, what their level of understanding is. Okay? And whether they just want the overall facts involved or whether they want you to go through a detailed explanation, which for most people after about 30 seconds puts them to sleep. So this is why I do my videos the way that I do. Okay, going forward here. All right, now this is a little different look here. This actually comes from a program. It's called Joytish Pro, I believe. And you can only basically get this through the website. There's a website. It used to have programs, but now there is the website. And this is something that you have to keep in mind. Now, I pointed out down here this conjunction. Pretty tight conjunction between Rahu and Mars. Rahu means insatiable worldly desire. When I do the video on Kamala Harris, she has Rahu within a few minutes of conjunct her ascendant. Okay, and she has Saturn in, okay, her 9th house and the sign that it rules. And we'll be talking a lot about that. These were the two areas that I misjudged when I basically said that it was not Kamala's time when I did that video. And then I had egg on my face and I realized I didn't look close enough. So we'll talk about more about that. And I'll go into more. I'll either do one video about Kamala and the turn of events, or I'll do one about Kamala as we approach the election, because the election, like I said, is going to be a rough ride for her. She's already getting insulted. Heaven knows to what extreme they will try to incriminate, prosecute, make her look bad, to dig up the dirt on her. She's going to go through probably a living hell to earn this presidency. And of course, we know that Trump's already in hell, so it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of when somebody actually opens the gate to the jail and throws him in, which may never happen. So, again, this is just to kind of give you an idea here. What you have here in this particular program and why I like it, because a lot of programs don't show this way, is the bold lettering. This is the planet in the house. These are the aspects to the planets in that house or to that house. Okay? And of course, you look at how close are they, and you consider what is the nature of the planet in, the particular house, and then the houses that it aspects, because if it's a fortunate aspect, it can send fortunate energy to that house that is aspecting, like over here. All right? Here you have a situation, perfect example of this. Mars is exalted at 28 degrees of Capricorn. Mars aspects the 4th, the 7th, and the 8th houses. And you can see that here because Mars, this is the 4th house, all right? This is the 7th house, and this is the 8th house, all right? So it can send favorable energy to those houses. Mars is also in a sign that it rules. Okay, so there is some possible hypothetical ability here that that Elon Musk, this could be a signature of his wealth, because this is the house that governs the wealth in your efforts. of your 10th house efforts, okay? But again, you have a situation here where Mars also aspects the 2nd house, close to the sign of its fall. Okay, so very complex financial scenario here. All right, and then over here we also have technical ability. Okay, well, we know he's got a degree in physics. Okay, and I forget what the other one is, but there's 2 degrees he has that he got from the University of Pennsylvania. Maybe business and physics, or something like that, or something very close to that. So he is intelligent. He is intelligent, a prodigy. He has Asperger's. He is on the autism spectrum. Okay. Somebody made a comment that he's a horrible dancer. I don't know if you'll want to see that on the internet or on YouTube, but if you want to, you can go see. Maybe he is a horrible dancer, which generally means that he's uptight. Again, Mars, Rahu, 8th house, uptight. Okay, possibly. Saturn up here could be uptight as well. Fears, inhibitions. But a very unique horoscope, a very strange individual. And I'm sure this will play itself out. You know, the fact of the matter is that the karma that a person's born into often haunts them their entire life unless they decide to go within themselves and to work through it and free themselves from it. Okay, so authoritarian issues, control issues, difficulty with other people. Those are all kind of the connotations of Elon Musk in terms of what he appears to be. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens to him as his association with Donald Trump develops over time. Okay. All right. I hope you enjoyed the video. I felt good doing the video. I felt like I conveyed what I wanted to you here in the video. And I'm hoping that it will provide you insight and information astrologically about the complexity of these 2 men's relationships and about some of the difficulties regarding astrology. Excuse me. For those of you that are members and subscribers to the channel, again, thank you so much. Those of you that make monthly donations and some that make occasional donations, thank you. It is deeply appreciated. As I said before, it helps to pay the internet bill. Okay, from the love of my life, CJ, my spiritual partner, my best friend, we thank you for your support. I want to again mention to you that CJ also has 2 Substack newsletters, very popular newsletters. One's called CJ's World, and the other one is called CJ's Whispers of Awareness, something like that, Whispers of Awareness, okay, where she shares her guided information. CJ's World is kind of a compilation of growing up in the 50s and 60s and other life experiences with her children, relationship related posts and stuff. It's good stuff. You know, you'll enjoy it. Okay, I'm going to get this out, and like I said, coming up is going to be probably Kamala Harris, and then I will look at 2 particular difficult periods for both her and Donald Trump as we go into the final 3rd base of the election here. Thank you for watching.